Here's what I'm seeing. A complex and rapidly escalating situation is unfolding in the Middle East. Let's break down the confirmed facts, the unverified reports, and what it all means. Right now in March 2026, the US says it has taken out a huge chunk of Iran's navy. According to CENTCOM's Admiral Brad Cooper, the initial numbers are significant. US forces have struck more than 60 Iranian ships since February 28th. This includes the last of 4 Soleimani-class warships, which are advanced catamaran-style corvettes that represented a significant point of pride and capability for the IRGC Navy. There are bigger numbers floating around online, with some accounts claiming over 100 ships have been destroyed, but major sources haven't confirmed that yet. It's crucial to distinguish between official statements and battlefield rumors. A lot of this has centered on the Strait of Hormuz, the world's most important oil choke point. US officials say they destroyed multiple mine-laying vessels there. Reporting includes 16 of them neutralized near the choke point, a preemptive move designed to keep global oil traffic from being shut down. This is about energy and leverage as much as missiles and ships. The goal was to prevent Iran from closing the strait, which would send catastrophic shocks through the global economy. Now let's talk about the air war. Alongside the naval strikes, a massive air campaign is underway. The US and Israel launched these operations under different names: Epic Fury and Roaring Lion. They're targeting ships, missile sites, military bases, and parts of Iran's nuclear infrastructure. Israel is still striking inside Iran and signaling this campaign could run for weeks, aiming to degrade Iran's offensive capabilities long-term. Iran's air defenses have been heavily engaged, but reports suggest they've been overwhelmed by coordinated salvos of cruise missiles and stealth aircraft. In response, Iran has fired back with missiles and drones at US bases in the region and at targets inside Israel. Most have reportedly been intercepted by systems like the Iron Dome and US Patriot batteries, but not all. There's also a third invisible front: cyberspace. Both sides are reportedly engaged in major cyber attacks. We're seeing unconfirmed reports of disruptions to Iranian infrastructure, power grids, communications, and financial systems. In turn, Western cybersecurity agencies have issued alerts about retaliatory attacks targeting banks and public utilities. This digital battlefield has no clear borders, which brings us to the leadership crisis in Tehran. This is a pivotal part of the story. NBC News reported that Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei was killed during the opening strikes on February 28th. Shortly after, the Assembly of Experts, the clerical body responsible for appointing the leader, named his son, Mojtaba Khamenei, as his successor. But there's a lot of uncertainty here. Iranian state media has been vague, initially denying the elder Khamenei's death before confirming it and framing his son's appointment as a sign of stability and continuity. However, Mojtaba himself has not been seen. U.S. Defense Chief Pete Hegseth claimed Mojtaba is wounded and likely disfigured, but he didn't offer evidence for that claim. Separate reporting via the New York Times, which relayed information from Israeli and Iranian officials, says Mojtaba was injured in his legs on day 1 of the strikes. The fact that he hasn't appeared in public to rally the nation at a time of war is significant. It suggests the leadership is, at a minimum, severely shaken and possibly fractured. This matters immensely for what happens next, as command and control could be compromised. The conflict is also sending shockwaves across the region. Gulf states like Saudi Arabia and the UAE are on high alert. They've officially called for de-escalation but have quietly restricted their airspace for certain flights and increased port security. They are caught in the middle, balancing their ties with the West against the risk of Iranian retaliation. In Iraq and Syria, there are reports of U.S. forces targeting Iran-backed militia groups who have tried to strike at American positions. And inevitably, there is the human toll, which is rising daily. A word of caution: the following details may be distressing for some viewers. Health officials in Iran and Lebanon and authorities in Israel report thousands killed and injured across the region. Beyond the direct casualties of strikes, humanitarian agencies are warning of a growing crisis due to displacement and damage to critical infrastructure like power plants and water treatment facilities. One of the most tragic incidents being examined is a U.S. Tomahawk strike that hit an Iranian girls' school on March 1st. The U.S. military is investigating how this happened. Iranian officials are saying as many as 175 people were killed, most of them students. CENTCOM has acknowledged a strike in the area and stated that the intended target was a nearby command and control facility, but has not confirmed the casualty figures. They've called the event a tragedy, and it is being probed. This incident is generating intense international condemnation and complicating the diplomatic landscape. Zooming out, the war has severely disrupted shipping and oil. Brent crude prices surged past $120 a barrel, feeding directly into gas prices and inflation worldwide. Shipping insurance premiums for vessels transiting the Gulf have skyrocketed, and many freight companies are rerouting around Africa, adding weeks to delivery times and driving up costs. Global stock markets have been volatile, with airline and industrial stocks down, while defense and energy stocks have rallied. On the diplomatic front, the UN Security Council has held emergency sessions, but so far, they've been deadlocked. Meanwhile, countries like Oman and Switzerland are reportedly acting as backchannels, trying to pass messages between Washington and Tehran to establish red lines and explore possibilities for a ceasefire. But with leadership in Tehran in question, it's unclear who has the authority to negotiate. So, what should we watch for next? The biggest risk is further escalation. If Iran, or elements within its command, feel they are facing an existential threat, they could still attempt a full closure of the Strait of Hormuz, or launch a massive, coordinated strike on a U.S. naval asset or a neighboring country. That would be a major red line. On the other hand, a potential trigger for de-escalation could be the consolidation of power in Tehran by a leader willing and able to talk. Let's recap the key points. CENTCOM confirms over 60 Iranian ships have been hit, and the entire Soleimani class of warships has been eliminated. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei is dead. His son, Mojtaba Khamenei, is the named successor but is reportedly wounded, and his condition and control are unclear. Israel and the U.S. are continuing their campaign against strategic sites. The human cost is tragically rising, with thousands of casualties reported, and the global economy is feeling the pressure through oil prices and shipping disruptions. This is still moving fast. My commitment is to keep tracking the confirmed updates and clearly flag what's still unverified in this fog of war. If this analysis helped you understand the situation, tap subscribe, like, and share to help keep more people informed with sober, fact-based reporting. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.